I was 18 years old when I discovered I was already $47,000 in debt. 18, I'd never owned a credit card, never signed a loan document, never missed a payment on anything because I'd never had anything to make payments on. But according to 3 different credit bureaus, I was a financial disaster, a walking red flag with a credit score hovering somewhere in the you'll never own anything range of 512. The community college I'd been accepted to, they pulled my financial aid after the credit check. The used Honda I needed to get to my new job at the diner, denied. The tiny studio apartment I'd saved up for, the one that was supposed to be my fresh start, my escape, my proof that I was finally going to be someone. The landlord actually laughed when he saw my application. "Sweetheart," he said, not unkindly, "you're not renting anything with a score like this, not from me, not from anyone." I sat in my car in that parking lot, my parents' car actually, because I didn't have one, and I did something I hadn't done since I was 12 years old. I called my mother, and I cried. "Mum, something's wrong. Someone stole my identity. Someone opened credit cards in my name, took out loans, destroyed everything before I even had a chance." The silence on the other end lasted exactly 4 seconds. Then she said, in that tired, resigned voice I knew too well, "Megan, it was your brother." 3 words. It was your brother. Not, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Not, "We'll fix this." Not even, "I'm sorry." Just, it was your brother. And in that moment, sitting in a car that wasn't mine, wearing a graduation dress I'd bought from Goodwill, holding a future that had just disintegrated in my hands, I understood something fundamental about my family. I had never mattered as much as him. I had never mattered at all. My name is Megan Walsh, and this is the story of how my golden child brother stole my entire identity when I was still in high school, and how I spent the next 7 years building a legal weapon so devastatingly precise that when I finally pulled the trigger, it didn't just destroy his credit. It destroyed everything, every single thing. And the best part, he never saw it coming. Before we dive into this, if you've ever been the forgotten child, the overlooked one, the person whose family made you feel invisible, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want to hear how karma isn't just real. Sometimes you can engineer it, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every single minute of this. Now let's rewind. Because to understand how thoroughly I dismantled my brother's life, you need to understand who he was, and more importantly, who I wasn't. Tyler Walsh was born 3 years before me, and from the moment he took his first breath, he was everything. Athletic, charismatic, effortlessly charming in that way that makes teachers love you and adults think you're going places. He played varsity football, he had the lead in the school musical, he got into Michigan State on a partial scholarship, which my parents topped off with their savings because Tyler deserves every opportunity. Tyler, Tyler, Tyler. His name was the anthem of our household. Mum kept a literal scrapbook, red leather, gold embossing, filled with his achievements, report cards, newspaper clippings from when he scored the winning touchdown, a photo of him shaking the principal's hand at honours night. My scrapbook? Didn't exist. I'm not exaggerating for effect. I mean, it literally did not exist. When I asked Mum about it once, I must have been 14, she looked genuinely confused. "Well, honey, you don't really do anything scrapbook-worthy." She said it the way you'd comment on the weather, casual, factual, not cruel, just true in her mind. And maybe she was right. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't in the school musicals. I didn't have that effortless charisma that made people remember my name. I was quiet, bookish, the kind of kid who ate lunch in the library and whose greatest accomplishment was making honour roll, which in a house where Tyler existed was the equivalent of participation trophy. "That's great, sweetie," Dad would say, barely looking up from Tyler's college application essays, which he was helping to edit. Again, for the 3rd school. Dad never edited mine. I don't think he even read them. By the time I was 17, I'd accepted my role. I was the supporting character in the Tyler Walsh story, the extra, the backdrop. And I was okay with that, or at least I told myself I was, because what choice did I have? But then Tyler graduated from Michigan State, and then the real nightmare began. Tyler graduated in May of 2014 with a degree in business administration and absolutely no plan. No job lined up, no internship, no grad school. Just debt, about $30,000 worth, despite my parents' help, and a vague sense that something would come up. It didn't. By August, he was back in his childhood bedroom, sleeping until noon, playing Xbox until 3 a.m., and using phrases like, "I'm networking," and "waiting for the right opportunity." Mum and Dad ate it up. "He's being strategic," Mum said. "He's being smart, not jumping at the first thing," Dad agreed. Meanwhile, I was working double shifts at a diner, saving every penny for community college in the fall. I had a plan, a real one. Business degree, transfer to a 4-year school, build something that was mine. I was so close. And then Tyler needed a credit card. He'd maxed out his student cards. Mum and Dad had cut him off after he borrowed $2,000 from their emergency fund for a business opportunity that turned out to be a multi-level marketing scheme selling protein powder. No bank would approve him. So he did what golden children do when the world stops handing them things. He took. I didn't know it was happening. Why would I? He didn't ask permission, didn't hint, didn't even look guilty. He simply walked into my room one afternoon while I was at work, opened the little lockbox under my bed, password, our childhood dog's name, because I was an idiot, and took my social security card, my birth certificate, and a copy of my driver's license I'd made for a job application. And then he went shopping. First, he opened a Visa through Capital One. Limit $5,000. He maxed it in 2 weeks. Flat screen TV, new laptop, clothes, bottle service at a club in Detroit. Then he opened a Discover card. Limit $3,500. Maxed it in 10 days. Then a Best Buy card. Then a Macy's card. Then a personal loan through some predatory online lender at 23% interest. $47,000. In 4 months, my brother racked up $47,000 in my name and never made a single payment, not one. I didn't find out until I applied for financial aid for winter semester. The woman at the office looked at my application, looked at her computer screen, and then looked at me with the kind of pity usually reserved for terminal diagnoses. "Honey," she said gently, "you're flagged. You're going to need to talk to financial services." My stomach dropped. Flagged. Your credit. There's a lot going on there. I pulled my credit report that night at the library. I remember every detail. The flickering fluorescent light above my head, the hum of the old desktop computer, the smell of old carpet and book glue, and then the screen loading, line after line after line of debt. Accounts I'd never opened, addresses I'd never lived at, a phone number I didn't recognize listed as my primary contact. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely work the mouse. $47,000 at 18 years old. I printed the report, used up $5 of my printing budget doing it, and I drove home with my hands clenched so tight on the wheel my knuckles went white. I walked into the house. Tyler was on the couch, Xbox controller in hand, bag of Doritos balanced on his stomach. Mum was in the kitchen, Dad was in the garage. I stood in the doorway, holding that report, and I said very quietly, "Tyler, we need to talk." He didn't even pause his game. "Busy, Meg." "Tyler, look at me." Something in my voice made him glance over. I held up the report. "Did you open credit cards in my name?" The room went silent. Not the kind of silence that means shock, the kind that means everyone already knew. Tyler's eyes flicked to the kitchen. Mum's shoulders stiffened, and I understood. "You knew," I whispered. Mum slowly turned around, dish rag in her hands. "Megan, let's not make this into a big—" "You knew," my voice cracked. Dad appeared in the doorway from the garage, wiping his hands on a rag, already looking exhausted. "Megan, calm down." "Calm down? He stole my identity. He destroyed my credit. I can't go to school. I can't get an apartment. I can't—" "It's not destroyed," Tyler said, still sitting on the couch, still holding that controller. "It's just a rough patch. You'll recover." I stared at him, at his face, so confident, so unbothered, so certain that this wasn't a big deal. "You stole $47,000 from me." "I borrowed it," he corrected, "and I'm going to pay it back once I get on my feet." "Jesus, Meg, stop being so dramatic." "Dramatic?" I looked at my mother. "Mum, please tell me you understand how insane this is." She sighed, a long, tired sigh, like I was the inconvenience. "Megan, your brother made a mistake, but he's family. We don't call the police on family." The floor dropped out from under me. "The police? Mum, I didn't even—" "He'll pay it back," she said firmly. "We'll figure it out. But we are not going to ruin his life over this. He has a future. He has potential. You can go to community college next year. Or the year after. You're young. You have time." Time. I had time. Tyler had potential. I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. And I realized the truth, standing there in that kitchen that smelled like marinara and disappointment. If I reported Tyler, they would never forgive me. If I fought this, I would lose my family. And if I stayed silent, I would lose everything else. I looked at Tyler one last time. He'd gone back to his game, and I made a decision. I left the house that night, packed a duffel bag, took the $1,200 I'd saved, and moved into a friend's basement in exchange for groceries and cleaning. I didn't speak to my parents for 6 months. Tyler never called, not once. But here's the thing about being the forgotten child, the overlooked one, the invisible supporting character. You learn to survive in the margins, and more importantly, you learn to be patient. I spent the first year working 3 jobs, diner in the mornings, retail in the afternoons, overnight stocking at a grocery store. I lived on ramen, store-brand coffee, and spite. Every penny I made went into 2 things. 1, keeping myself alive. 2, keeping immaculate records. I documented everything. I kept copies of every credit report, every collections notice, every piece of mail that came to my friend's address with my name on it and Tyler's purchases attached. I recorded phone calls with creditors. I saved emails. I built a file that would make a forensic accountant weep with joy. And then I started learning. I couldn't afford a lawyer, but I could afford library late fees. So I read identity theft law, credit reporting statutes, fraud prosecution guidelines, statute of limitations rules for every state. I read until my eyes burned. I read until I could cite case law in my sleep. And slowly, carefully, I started understanding something. Tyler had made a mistake. Not the theft, that was intentional. His mistake was that he'd been sloppy. He'd used his own phone number on some applications, his own email on others. He'd shipped purchases to Mum and Dad's house. He'd left a trail, a beautiful prosecutable trail. And the statute of limitations for identity theft in Michigan? 6 years from discovery. I discovered it when I was 18, which meant I had until I was 24. Plenty of time. In year 2, I enrolled in community college part-time. I took business classes during the day and criminal justice courses at night. Not because I wanted to be a lawyer, because I wanted to be smarter than one. I graduated with my associate's degree in 3 years, 4.0 GPA. Full ride to finish my bachelor's at Eastern Michigan. I worked, I studied, I built a life. And every single month, on the 1st, I pulled my credit report. I watched as Tyler's accounts went to collections. I watched as interest piled on. I watched as the original $47,000 became $60,000. Then $70,000. And I waited. In year 4, I got an email from my mum. Subject line, "Can we talk?" I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. She wanted to meet for coffee. I agreed. We met at a Starbucks halfway between her house and my apartment. She looked older, tired. Her hair had more grey than I remembered. She ordered a latte. I ordered black coffee. We sat. "You look good," she said. "Thanks. School's going well?" "Yeah." Silence. She cleared her throat. "Megan, I wanted to talk to you about what happened with Tyler." I said nothing. He feels terrible, he really does, and he's been trying to get back on his feet, but it's been hard and— "Is he paying it back?" I interrupted. She blinked. "What?" "The $47,000 he stole from me. Is he paying it back?" "Well, it's complicated. Yes or no?" Her jaw tightened. "He's struggling, Megan. He has bills. He's trying to build a career. So no." She looked away. "He wants to apologize. He wants to make things right, but he needs time." "He's had 4 years. And you've done fine," she snapped, louder than she meant to. The table next to us glanced over. She lowered her voice. "You've done fine, Megan. You have a degree. You have a job. You have an apartment. You're fine. But Tyler is barely surviving, and I'm asking you, as your mother, to please let this go. Let it go." I stared at her, at this woman who'd raised me, fed me, kept a roof over my head for 18 years. This woman who'd never once put my photo in a scrapbook. "No," I said. Her face went hard. "Excuse me. No, I'm not letting it go." "Megan, I'm not letting it go, Mom. And if you came here to ask me to, you wasted your time." I stood up. She stood too. "If you pursue this, if you press charges, you will tear this family apart." I looked at her, really looked at her, and I said very calmly, "You already did that 4 years ago when you chose him." I left. I didn't look back, and I didn't cry until I was in my car. By year 5, I had everything I needed: documentation, evidence, timelines, witnesses. I'd even tracked down the sales receipts for the TV and laptop Tyler bought. He'd sold the laptop on Craigslist, and the buyer still had the email exchange. Tyler had used his personal email. Idiot. I could have gone to the police then, but I didn't, because I wasn't just angry anymore. I was strategic. See, if I reported him in year 5, sure, he'd face consequences. Maybe some fines, maybe probation, maybe even a little jail time if the prosecutor was aggressive. But it wouldn't destroy him. And I didn't want to hurt Tyler. I wanted to erase him. So I waited. And while I waited, I did something Tyler never expected. I got successful. I finished my bachelor's degree, landed a job at a mid-sized marketing firm, got promoted twice in 2 years, started building my credit back. Slowly, painfully, but steadily. I disputed every fraudulent account, filed police reports for the ones I could prove, worked with creditors to mark things as identity theft. It took years, but my credit score climbed, then 580, then 620, then 680. By the time I was 25, I was at 720. I bought a car. A real one, a certified pre-owned Civic that was mine. I signed a lease on a 1-bedroom apartment with a dishwasher and a balcony. I got a credit card, just one, a secured card, and I paid it off every month. I built a life, and the whole time, Tyler was sinking. He never got that career off the ground. Turns out charisma only gets you so far when you have no work ethic. He bounced from job to job, sales gigs, business opportunities, a brief stint trying to become an influencer. He lived with Mum and Dad until he was 28, and then he met Brittany. Brittany was a dental hygienist, sweet, responsible, the kind of woman who bought a house at 26 and had a retirement plan, the kind of woman Tyler desperately needed. They got engaged after 6 months. Mum called me to tell me. I hadn't spoken to her in over a year, but she called anyway. "Tyler's getting married," she said, voice bright with forced cheer. "We're having an engagement party. I'm inviting you. I know things have been hard, but family is family, Megan." I almost said no, but then I thought about it, and I said yes. The engagement party was at Mom and Dad's house. Backyard barbecue, string lights, a banner that said, "Congrats Tyler and Brittany" in gold cursive. I wore a sundress, I brought wine, I smiled. Tyler saw me walk in, and for just a second, just a flicker, I saw panic in his eyes. But then Brittany was there, beaming, pulling me into a hug. "You must be Megan. Tyler talks about you all the time." Lies, but I hugged her back. "It's so nice to finally meet you," I said. And I meant it, because Brittany was lovely. She was warm and genuine, and she had no idea she was about to marry a man who'd stolen his sister's identity and never paid a dime back. I spent 2 hours at that party. I ate potato salad. I laughed at Dad's jokes. I congratulated Tyler. He couldn't look me in the eye. And as I was leaving, Brittany caught me by the car. "Hey, Megan." I turned. She smiled, a little shy. "I just wanted to say, Tyler's lucky to have you as a sister. He told me you two had a rough patch, but I'm so glad you're here. Family is everything, you know?" I looked at her. This kind, naive, trusting woman who thought she was marrying a good man. And I made a decision. "Brittany," I said carefully, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Have you and Tyler looked into buying a house together?" Her face lit up. "Actually, yes. We're pre-approved for a mortgage. We're looking at places next month." My heart started pounding. "That's amazing. Congratulations." She beamed. I got in my car, and I finally let myself smile. Here's what most people don't understand about identity theft. It's not just a crime. It's a financial time bomb. And Tyler's bomb was about to go off. Because when you apply for a mortgage, lenders don't just check your credit. They check everything. Employment history, tax returns, bank statements, debts, liabilities. And if you've committed fraud, if you've opened accounts in someone else's name, racked up debt and never paid it back, that shows up, all of it. I knew Tyler hadn't disclosed the debt to Brittany. How do I know? Because she thought they were pre-approved, which meant the lender had run a soft check, preliminary, surface level. But when they went to actually apply, to lock in a rate and close on a house, that's when they'd run the hard check. That's when they'd find the $70,000 plus in unpaid, fraudulent debt tied to Tyler's name through a dozen tiny connections. Same address, same phone number on some accounts, same email domain. Tyler had been sloppy, and it was about to cost him everything. But I wasn't going to just let that happen naturally. I was going to help it along. 2 weeks after the engagement party, I did 3 things. 1, I contacted every single creditor still holding Tyler's unpaid debt in my name. I provided them with documentation proving the accounts were fraudulent. I provided Tyler's information, his real information, the stuff he'd used, and I requested that they pursue him for repayment. Most creditors don't bother, but when you hand them a suspect on a silver platter with evidence and a clear paper trail, they bother. 2, I filed an official identity theft report with the FTC. I'd held off for years because once you file, the clock starts ticking on prosecution. But now I wanted that clock ticking. I filed the report. I sent copies to the credit bureaus. I sent copies to the police. I attached 7 years of documentation. And then I waited. 3, I hired a lawyer, not a big firm, just a solo practitioner who specialized in identity theft cases. I paid him $2,000 up front, and I said very clearly, I want to press charges, criminal charges, and I want to pursue civil damages. He looked at my file, all 7 years of it, and he smiled. Miss Walsh, this is the most well-documented case I've ever seen. Good, I said, because I want him destroyed. It took 3 months for the first domino to fall. Tyler and Brittany found a house, a cute little starter home in Ferndale, 3 bedrooms, fenced yard, perfect for the future kids Brittany wanted. They put in an offer, it was accepted, and then they applied for the mortgage. The lender ran the full background check, and everything came to light. I wasn't there when it happened, obviously, but Brittany told me later, months later, after everything fell apart, what that day was like. They were sitting in the loan officer's office, excited, nervous, holding hands. The officer pulled up Tyler's report, and his face changed. "Mr. Walsh, there's a significant issue here." Tyler's stomach dropped. "What kind of issue?" The officer turned the screen around. "You have over $70,000 in unpaid debt across multiple accounts, most of it in collections. Several of the accounts have been flagged as fraudulent. There's an open identity theft investigation tied to your social security number." Brittany's hand went cold in his. "That's impossible," Tyler said. I've never... Sir, the accounts are all linked to you. Same address history, phone numbers, email accounts. If this is fraud, you'll need to file a police report and dispute it with the bureaus. But as of right now, your application is denied." Denied? Brittany turned to him, face pale. "Tyler, what is he talking about?" Tyler couldn't speak. The officer printed the report, handed it to him. And Tyler saw my name, over and over and over. Account holder Megan Walsh, linked party Tyler Walsh. And he knew I'd done this. They left the office in silence. Brittany cried the whole way home. And that night, Tyler called me. I almost didn't answer, but I did. "Hello, Megan." His voice was tight, furious. "What did you do?" "I'm sorry, what?" "You know what? The mortgage, the fraud report. You tanked my application, Oh, I said, voice light. "That? Yeah, I reported the identity theft. You know, the one where you stole $47,000 from me and destroyed my credit. That was 7 years ago. And you never paid it back." Silence. "Megan, I was going to..." "No, you weren't. You never were. You thought you'd get away with it because you always get away with everything. I will pay you back." "I don't want your money, Tyler." His breath hitched. "Then what do you want?" I smiled. He couldn't see it, but I smiled. "I want you to feel what I felt. I want you to lose something you care about. I want you to know what it's like when everything falls apart and the people you love choose someone else. Megan, Brittany deserves better than you. I hope she realizes that." I hung up. He called back. I didn't answer. And 2 weeks later, the police contacted Tyler. They wanted to talk about the identity theft case. He lawyered up immediately, which was smart, but it didn't matter, because I had everything. The prosecutor assigned to my case was a woman named Linda Ortiz. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, and had a reputation for taking white-collar crime seriously. She loved my case. Most identity theft cases fall apart because the victim doesn't have evidence, she told me in our first meeting. But you have a novel's worth. I had time, I said. She smiled. Time and spite. Excellent combination. Tyler was charged with 6 counts of identity theft and multiple counts of fraud. If convicted on all counts, he was looking at up to 10 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. 10 years. When I heard that number, I felt something I hadn't felt in 7 years. Relief, not happiness, not vindication, just relief. Like I'd been holding my breath for 7 years and could finally exhale. But Tyler didn't go to trial. He couldn't afford to. His lawyer, a public defender because he couldn't afford private counsel, took one look at the evidence and told him to take a plea deal. The prosecution offered 2 years in prison, suspended to 18 months with good behaviour, 5 years probation, full restitution of $70,000 plus to be paid to me. Permanent record, Tyler's lawyer told him to take it. So he did. He pled guilty, and 2 months later he was sentenced. I attended the hearing. I sat in the back row, hands folded in my lap. Mum and Dad were there too. They didn't look at me. Tyler stood before the judge, wearing a cheap suit, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. The judge read the charges. Tyler confirmed his plea. And then the judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I hadn't planned to, but when the judge asked, something in me shifted. I stood. "Yes, Your Honour." The courtroom was silent. I walked to the podium. Tyler looked at me. For the first time in 7 years, he really looked at me, and I spoke. Your Honour, my name is Megan Walsh, and Tyler Walsh is my brother. When I was 18 years old, I had a plan. I was going to go to college. I was going to build something. I was going to be someone. And then I discovered that I was $47,000 in debt for purchases I never made, accounts I never opened, a life I never lived. My brother stole my identity. He stole my credit. He stole my future. And when I confronted him, when I begged my family to help me, they told me to let it go. They told me he had potential. They told me I had time. For 7 years, I lived with that. I lived with the knowledge that my family valued him more than me, that my pain didn't matter as much as his convenience. I worked 3 jobs. I went to school part-time. I built my life back piece by piece while he coasted on charm and excuses. And he never apologized. Not once. Not ever. So, no, Your Honour, I don't feel sorry for him. I don't forgive him. And I don't want him to go to prison because I'm vindictive. I want him to go to prison because he needs to learn that actions have consequences, that you can't just steal from people, especially family, and expect the world to shrug and move on. He stole 7 years from me. I think 18 months is more than fair. I sat down. The courtroom was silent. Tyler was crying. Mum was crying. Dad stared at the floor, and the judge sentenced Tyler to 18 months in a minimum security facility, 5 years probation, and full restitution. The gavel came down, and it was over. Tyler went to prison 3 weeks later. Brittany broke off the engagement 2 days after the sentencing. She called me. We met for coffee. She looked exhausted. I don't even know what to say, she said. I feel so stupid. You're not stupid. He lied to you. For months. We were planning a life together, and he lied about everything. She wiped her eyes. He told me you two didn't talk because you were jealous of him, that you'd always resented him for being successful. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was such a Tyler thing to say. I'm sorry, Brittany said. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. If I'd known... It's okay, I said. Really, I'm glad you found out before you married him. She nodded. We finished our coffee, and as we were leaving, she hugged me. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For saving me from making the biggest mistake of my life. Mum and Dad didn't speak to me for a year, not a word, no calls, no emails, no birthday card. I didn't reach out either. I didn't have anything left to say to them. But a year later, almost to the day, I got a letter in the mail from Dad. It was short. Megan, your mother and I have been doing a lot of thinking. We handled things badly. We failed you. We see that now. Tyler is getting out next month. He's required to start making restitution payments. He's broke, and he'll be paying you back for years. But he's our son and we love him, just like we love you. I know that might be hard to hear. I know you don't believe it, but it's true. We don't expect you to forgive us. We don't expect you to come back. But if you ever want to talk, we're here. Love, Dad. I read that letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer. I didn't throw it away. But I didn't respond either. Maybe someday I will, but not today. Tyler served 14 months with good behaviour. He got out on a Thursday in October. I know because his first restitution payment hit my account the following Monday. $847.23. The court had calculated that at his current income, he got a job at a warehouse. It would take him approximately 8 years to pay me back in full. 8 years. 1 year for every year I spent building my case. Poetic, in a way. I didn't spend the money right away. I just watched it accumulate. $847.23 1 month. $847.23 the next. Month after month after month. It felt surreal. For 7 years, Tyler had taken from me. Now, for 8 years, he would give back, whether he wanted to or not. I'm 30 now. I have a career I'm proud of. I'm a senior marketing director at a tech startup. I make good money. I have my own apartment, my own car. My credit score is 780. I'm dating someone kind and steady who's never stolen anything from anyone. I have friends who know my whole story and love me anyway. I have a life, a real one, mine. And every month when that $847.23 hits my account, I transfer it immediately into a savings account I never touch. It's up to almost $30,000 now. I'm calling it my Golden Child Fund. I haven't decided what I'll do with it yet. Maybe I'll donate it. Maybe I'll use it for a down payment on a house. Maybe I'll throw the world's most expensive party when the last payment clears and invite everyone except Tyler. I don't know yet, but I have time to decide, because unlike Tyler, I'm patient. I saw Tyler once after he got out of prison. It was at a grocery store, completely random. I was in the cereal aisle debating between Cheerios and granola, and I turned around and there he was. He looked different, thinner, older. His hair was starting to recede. He was wearing a warehouse uniform, navy blue polo, name tag that said Tyler W., not Tyler Walsh, just Tyler W., like he was trying to be someone else. He saw me at the same time I saw him. For a second, neither of us moved. Then he opened his mouth like he was going to say something, and I just walked away, not dramatically, not cruelly. I just turned my cart around and went to the next aisle, because I didn't have anything to say to him, and more importantly, he didn't matter anymore. For 7 years, Tyler Walsh had been the sun my entire world revolved around. My anger, my pain, my plan. But standing there in that grocery store, looking at this man in a warehouse uniform who'd once been the golden child, who'd once been everything, I felt nothing. Not hatred, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just nothing. He was a stranger who owed me money. That's it. And that, more than anything else, more than the prison sentence or the restitution or the ruined engagement, that felt like winning. I had lunch with Mom 6 months ago. She reached out, asked if we could meet. I said yes. I don't know why. Maybe because enough time had passed. Maybe because I was tired of carrying around the weight of hating her. Maybe because some small, stupid part of me still wanted a mum. We met at the same Starbucks where we'd met 4 years earlier. She looked even older now. Her hands shook a little when she picked up her coffee. "You look wonderful," she said. "Thank you." "How's work?" "Good. I got promoted last month." "That's wonderful, honey. Really?" Silence. She took a breath. "Megan, I'm not going to ask you to forgive me." I looked up. "I'm not," she continued, "because I don't deserve it. What we did, what I did, was unforgivable. I chose Tyler over you. I minimized your pain. I made you feel like you didn't matter." Her voice cracked. "And the worst part is I didn't even realize I was doing it. He was the squeaky wheel, you know. He always needed something. And you were so self-sufficient, so strong. I thought you were fine." "I wasn't fine, Mom. I know that now." She wiped her eyes. "I failed you. As a mother, I failed you, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I didn't cry. I'd cried enough over this family, but I did reach across the table, and I put my hand on hers. "I appreciate you saying that," I said quietly. She squeezed my hand. Can we try again? Not go back. I know we can't go back, but maybe move forward." I thought about it. I thought about the little girl who ate lunch in the library, the teenager who worked 3 jobs, the young woman who spent 7 years building a case brick by brick. I thought about all the versions of me who never got the mother they needed. And I thought about the version of me sitting here now, 30 years old, successful, whole. Did she need a mother anymore? No, but did she want one? Maybe. "We can try," I said. Mum smiled. It was small and sad and hopeful all at once. "That's more than I deserve." "Yeah," I agreed. "It is." But I stayed anyway, and we talked, really talked, for the first time in maybe ever. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't a Hallmark movie reconciliation, but it was honest, and that was enough. People ask me sometimes if it was worth it. 7 years of planning, 7 years of documentation, 7 years of waiting. Was it worth it? And honestly, I don't know how to answer that, because the revenge itself, the sentencing, the restitution, the satisfaction of watching Tyler's life crumble, that was worth it. Absolutely, without question. But the cost? 7 years of anger, 7 years of carrying this weight, 7 years of defining myself by what was done to me instead of who I wanted to become. That part wasn't worth it. So if I could go back, would I do it again? Yes. But I'd do it faster. I wouldn't wait 7 years. I'd file the report immediately, I'd press charges, I'd get it over with and move on. Because the thing about revenge is this: it feels incredible in the moment. That moment when the gavel comes down, when justice is served, when the person who hurt you finally faces consequences, that moment is pure euphoria. But then the moment ends, and you're left with your life, and the question becomes, what now? For 7 years, Tyler was my what now. He was my purpose, my project, my reason to keep going. And when it was over, when he was sentenced and the case was closed, I had to figure out who I was without him, who Megan Walsh was when she wasn't the girl whose brother stole her identity, when she wasn't the victim, when she wasn't the avenger, just Megan. And that was harder than any part of the revenge. But I figured it out. I'm still figuring it out, and I'm okay with that. Tyler still makes his payments every month, $847.23. He's never missed one. I think his probation officer would violate him if he did, so it's not like he has a choice. But still, he pays. And every month when I see that deposit, I'm reminded, actions have consequences. You can't steal from people and expect to get away with it forever. Eventually, the bill comes due. For Tyler, that bill was 18 months in prison and 8 years of payments. For my parents, that bill was losing me for years and almost losing me permanently. For me, the bill was 7 years of my life I'll never get back. But here's the thing, I'm not angry about those 7 years anymore because they taught me something Tyler never learned. Patience is power. Documentation is a weapon. And the long game always wins. Tyler was the golden child, but I was the one who turned into gold. So that's my story. The story of how my golden child brother stole my identity at 18, destroyed my credit, ruined my future, and got away with it for 7 years. Until he didn't. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been the overlooked one, the forgotten child, the person who had to fight for every single thing while someone else got it handed to them, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories of justice, revenge, and people finally getting what they deserve. And tell me in the comments, have you ever played the long game? Have you ever waited years to get revenge on someone who wronged you? I want to hear your stories, because if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that I'm not alone. There are millions of us out there, the forgotten ones, the overlooked ones, the ones who were told we didn't matter. And you know what? We matter. We always mattered. Some people just took too long to realize it. Thanks for listening, and remember, the golden child might shine brightest, but gold tarnishes. And revenge is forever.